and welcome to this, the first of our 4 EAssessment Award ceremonies through the month of June. Today we'll be looking at The Future Is Now, looking at formative and summative assessment approaches, awarding prizes to the winners of those 2 categories within the EAssessment Awards. I'd like to move on to our first keynote presentation from Dr Mary Richardson. She's Associate Professor of Education within the assessment space at UCL and the Institute of Education. She's been at UCL for 6 of those 20 years, and before that spent 10 years at the University of Roehampton teaching undergraduate trainee teachers around the art of teaching.
I will say from the get-go that today's session I'm going to cover 2 things really. I'm going to cover this notion of e-assessment and some work that I've just started doing looking at artificial intelligence and how we respond in a human way to that. And something that I think is very interesting in terms of assessment, and I noticed that one of the other speakers mentioned that in his film. He talked about thinking about the what, and I think that's so important. Because what surrounds a lot of assessment, particularly in public discourses, are what I call kind of mythologies. And I'm never quite sure where these have come from, but they build up. And I'm sure all of you recognize some of these. You hear people saying technologies are going to personalize and revolutionize education. But then also, conversely, you hear the naysayers saying, well, e-assessment's far too new for us to trust. And of course, we know different. Or AI technology means I'm relinquishing all control over my data. And also this notion that something that is technologically different, because the pace of change can be so fast in terms of technological developments and things can subsume each other really quickly, people often might dismiss things as faddish or unreliable, and they're cautious about them. I have raised a few questions here because I think there are things that could come out in the panel discussion, but also things that I think are really important when we talk about using technologies in assessment. One of the things that people often say to me is, apart from I'm afraid of my data being misused, they also say, well, hang on, aren't these things really easy to cheat on? So one thing I often do is turn the argument around and say, why do you always start from a position of mistrust? I'm not being naive. I know that students try to cheat. And boy, I've seen some amazing examples in recent years of students doing all sorts of quite extraordinary things to assignments before they upload them. And it is getting quite sophisticated, but the majority of people don't do that. And I think we need to talk a bit more about the way that we want to assess what we want from students to try and actually head off this notion of cheating, because the more we talk about cheating and the more we mistrust people and the more we kind of hold them to account, it is actually in many cases a foregone conclusion. People will try to beat the system, or if they feel under great pressure and stress, which is what often happens in schools, you will find instances of cheating because people feel so pressured. The other thing is thinking about the competitive nature of assessments. What are they for? What do we want them for? Are they about learning, or are they just about some form of competition? I do hear some people say, well, we have to say it's not a competition. Well, actually it is. That's what happens in schools. I'm not saying that's right, but I think we have to remember our part in this is that we are enabling part of the competitive kind of ethos that runs through education. And we have to remember, what our part is in that. And can we be part of making a change? Is that what learners need, or is that what they want? Do they want those grades only, or is it that they actually need something else when we're assessing them? Do they need something more?
I wonder whether or not there's we're talking about increasing confidence in the use of technology within assessment, but I also wonder whether there's part of it about people understanding the role that technology can take, because I think often people rush to make assumptions that says this technology is going to replace me, it's going to get rid of my job as an assessor or as a teacher, but actually if they understood the process and took time to understand the literacy a bit, maybe they wouldn't feel that way. And I wondered whether you had thoughts around how we tackle that as a sector, in terms of trying to overcome those fears around people's understanding of what technology is trying to do.
Mm. Yeah, I think this is a really big thing, actually, Matt. And I think you're absolutely right. I think often schools, and if I start with an example from my own area, I did some work a few years ago in UCL, just interviewing tutors about bringing in e-marking systems and also some more electronic assessments. And one of the first things I came up against were lots and lots of tutors going, well, they can just make me redundant then, can't they? And I was like, well, no, because you have the expert knowledge in chemistry or history or whatever it might be. We can't replicate that. What this is going to do actually in certain assessments is take some of the real donkey work and really boring work, because quite frankly marking is very dull, take some of that away from you so that you can spend more time on the types of assessment that are actually enriching somebody's learning even more.
We're moving on to the first of the award categories, looking at initially at the best formative assessment project category. We're very grateful to ACER UK for sponsoring the Best Formative Assessment Project Award this year. Without their sponsorship and support, and the support of the other sponsors of the awards, we wouldn't be able to put on the ceremony. And at this point, I'd like to introduce to you, all of you, to Dr. Desmond Birmingham, who's the CEO of ACER, who's very kindly agreed to introduce us to the finalists and announce the winner of the award for the formative project.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks to the EAssessment Association for organising this event. ACER, for those that are not familiar with us, is one of the largest of the world's education research organisations. We have over 400 researchers and experts working particularly on assessment as well as other forms of evaluation around the world. The 4 finalists, I want to give credit to all 4 of them, and the panelists wanted me to just summarise the strengths as they saw them. The first finalist was Prodigy, who developed the world's first assessments through Minecraft in their Coding in Minecraft computer science curriculum program, developing formative skills and using assessment and credentialing programs using the Minecraft tool. The program engages young people and diverse learners from middle grades in the US key stage and in the equivalent to key stage 2 and 4 in the UK. It uses game-based learning in a very exciting way that actually engages the young people, helps them learn, and actually creates the assessment without them even knowing they're being assessed. That was one of the comments that was made in the presentation. The second finalist was Measurement Incorporated, and with their product MI Write, which is a web-based automated writing evaluation system that helps facilitate the teaching and learning of writing by providing students with automated scores and feedback on the key aspects of writing. The third finalist was Examplay EduTech, a technical platform that gives intelligence to teachers on the stage of learning that a student is finding difficult to master, whether it's comprehension, knowledge, application, analysis, synthesis, creation, or evaluation. And then the last finalist was Read Labs, and Read's IE was able to predict with 98% accuracy within less than 10 questions the score a learner would achieve normally in the 2.5-hour test, using the test of English for International Communications as an example. The panelists felt that all 4 finalists really demonstrated great innovation and creativity and really wanted to give credit to all 4 of them. However, there could only be one winner, and the winner this year of the EAssessment's Best Formative Assessment Project goes to Prodigy. The panel felt that Prodigy excelled in all areas of their submission, and they were excited about the robustness of the project they presented. The innovative use of technology to assess pupils formatively across the country and across the world was impressive, and they felt they were really passionate as a company about what they were doing.
Thank you very much, Desmond, for that, and many congratulations to Prodigy Learning for their lovely win there in the Formative Assessment Project Award. And thank you very much, Desmond, for all the support that ACER give both the association and, in this particular case, for the support for the Best Formative Assessment Project.